Is there a yearning deep within the human heart, a quiet, persistent echo for a connection so profound it feels as though it were orchestrated by a wisdom far greater than our own? We speak of soulmates, often with a mixture of hope and skepticism, wondering if such a divinely guided encounter is mere fairy tale or a tangible reality. And when we invoke the word God, what if we are touching upon that immense guiding intelligence that Carl Jung called the self, the very core of our being? Or that the Stoics perceived as the logos, the inherent reason woven into the fabric of existence? Today, we delve into a profound and deeply human question. In what subtle, often unconscious ways might this deeper guiding principle, this God within and without, introduce us to those individuals who are destined to play a pivotal role in our soul's journey? Our true soulmates, often without us even realizing the sacred introduction is underway. We will explore three profound pathways illuminated by Carl Jung's philosophy by which these life-altering connections are initiated, not through overt signs, but through the mysterious workings of our own psyche and the subtle poetry of life itself. This is an invitation to look beyond romantic cliches and discover the profound, often hidden, spiritual and psychological dynamics that draw souls together for the purpose of growth, healing, and becoming whole. When we speak of a force like God introducing us to a soulmate, it's natural for many to envision an external, perhaps personified deity orchestrating events. Yet, the profound psychological and philosophical traditions we are drawing upon invite us to look also, and perhaps primarily, within and into the very fabric of existence for this guiding intelligence. Carl Jung, in his deep exploration of the human psyche, identified a central archetype he called the self. This is not the ego, our conscious sense of I, but rather the totality of our being, the organizing principle that strives for wholeness, for individuation. The self, for Jung, holds an innate wisdom and often operates from the vast depths of the unconscious, subtly guiding us towards experiences and relationships that will foster our growth and completion. It is this inner core, this eminent divine spark, that can act as the unseen weaver in our lives, connecting threads we cannot consciously perceive. Similarly, the ancient Stoics spoke of the logos, a divine reason or natural law that permeates and governs the cosmos. They believed that human reason is a fragment of this universal logos, and that living in accordance with nature, both our own true nature and the nature of the universe, is the path to wisdom and flourishing. This logos, this inherent order and intelligence within all things, can also be understood as a guiding principle that, when we are aligned with it, can bring forth what is necessary for our journey. So, when we consider God in the context of life's most meaningful encounters, we can expand our understanding to include these profound concepts: the deep wisdom of our own unconscious striving for wholeness, Jung's self, and the inherent rational order of existence itself, the Stoic logos. These are not always loud or obvious forces. They operate subtly, often beneath the threshold of our everyday awareness, weaving connections, presenting opportunities, and sometimes orchestrating encounters that our conscious ego could never have planned. It is precisely because these introductions are initiated from this deeper, often unconscious or systemic level, that we so often don't realize the profound significance of a meeting until much later, when the tapestry has revealed more of its intricate design. The unseen weaver works with threads of synchronicity, intuition, and the subtle pull of our deepest, often unacknowledged soul needs. One of the most profound and often perplexing ways the unseen weaver, the guiding wisdom of the self, nudges us towards pivotal connections is through the complex dance of our own shadow and its projections. As Carl Jung illuminated, our shadow contains all those aspects of ourselves that we, for various reasons, deemed unacceptable and pushed into the darkness of our unconscious. Our fears, yes, but also our unexpressed anger, our hidden vulnerabilities, and sometimes even our most brilliant, untamed potentials. Because this energy remains alive yet unacknowledged, it doesn't simply lie dormant. Instead, it seeks mirrors in the outer world, and we unconsciously project these disowned qualities onto others. This is often the first, very subtle, and usually entirely unrealized introduction to what our soul needs for its journey, and by extension, what might prepare us for or be embodied in a soulmate connection. Have you ever met someone who almost instantly provokes an intensely negative reaction in you? An inexplicable irritation, a fierce judgment, a feeling of being deeply unsettled? Or, conversely, have you encountered someone who seems almost superhumanly perfect, someone you instantly idealize and place on a pedestal? These powerful, often disproportionate emotional responses are frequently the telltale signs of a shadow projection. The self, in its wisdom, is using that other person as a screen, reflecting back to you a disowned part of your own psyche. You don't realize it's an introduction to your inner world, orchestrated by a deeper intelligence, because the experience feels entirely about the other person. The discomfort or the dazzling allure seems to emanate solely from them. Yet, the purpose of such an encounter, from the soul's perspective, is often to bring these hidden aspects of yourself into the light of awareness. By grappling with why this person triggers you so intensely, you are given an invaluable opportunity to withdraw your projection, to reclaim that lost piece of yourself, be it a dark quality you need to accept or a golden trait you need to own. This challenging work of shadow integration is fundamental. It clears the inner debris, heals old wounds, and makes us more whole, more authentic. And it is often only when we have begun to embrace our own completeness that we can truly meet another in the depth and clarity required for a genuine soulmate connection. A connection that thrives not on illusion or projection, but on mutual recognition and integrated wholeness. Another profound, often electrifying way the inner wisdom, what we're calling the unseen weaver, introduces us to life-altering connections is through the captivating experience of the anima or animus projection. Carl Jung described the anima as the unconscious feminine aspect within a man's psyche and the animus as the unconscious masculine aspect within a woman's. These aren't just simple opposites, they are powerful archetypal figures, or soul images, that hold the qualities of our contrasexual nature, often shaping our ideals of relationship and deep connection. They mediate our experience of the unconscious and bridge us to a sense of inner completeness. Often, without any conscious intent, we project this deeply significant inner figure onto an external person. Suddenly, someone walks into our lives and it feels like an instant, almost magical recognition. There's an irresistible pull, a sense of having found a missing piece, a soulmate. This intense, often all-consuming attraction is frequently the work of the anima or animus projected. The person seems to embody everything we unconsciously long for, everything our soul feels it needs to be whole. We fall in love not just with the individual, but with the reflection of our own soul image that they carry for us. This, Jung suggested, is a powerful introduction orchestrated by the self. We don't realize it's an invitation to inner work because the experience is so outwardly focused, so filled with the intoxicating allure of the other. But the ultimate purpose of this encounter, from the perspective of individuation, is not merely to possess the external person who carries our projection. It is a profound call to withdraw that projection and integrate those very qualities of our anima or animus within ourselves. The initial infatuation may fade as we see the real human person behind our idealized image. The true journey then becomes about developing our own inner feminine or masculine, our own capacity for feeling or reason, intuition or strength that we initially saw only in them. A true soulmate connection, in this deeper Jungian sense, might then be one where both individuals support each other in this sacred work of integration, relating not as two halves seeking completion, but as two whole beings growing together. This powerful archetypal encounter, therefore, is one of the self's most compelling ways of introducing us to the path of our own becoming, calling us towards a richer, more integrated wholeness. Beyond the internal mirrors of shadow and soul image, the unseen weaver employs another, perhaps even more mysterious means of introducing us to those vital soulmate connections, the subtle yet profound phenomenon of synchronicity. Carl Jung defines synchronicity as the experience of meaningful coincidences, events in the outer world that aligned with our inner psychological state in a way that feels deeply significant yet lacks a direct causal link. These are the moments when the universe seems to rhyme, when an unexpected encounter, a chance remark, or a series of improbable events converge to bring someone into our lives, often at precisely the moment we are most ready for them or most in need of what they represent for our growth. This third way often becomes more apparent when we are actively engaged in our own journey of individuation, when we have done the courageous inner work of facing our shadow and beginning to integrate our anima or animus. This third way often becomes more apparent when we are actively engaged in our own journey of individuation, when we have done the courageous inner work of facing our shadow and beginning to integrate our anima or animus. This powerful archetypal encounter, therefore, is one of the self's most compelling ways of introducing us to the path of our own becoming, calling us towards a richer, more integrated wholeness. Beyond the internal mirrors of shadow and soul image, the unseen weaver employs another, perhaps even more mysterious means of introducing us to those vital soulmate connections, the subtle yet profound phenomenon of synchronicity. Carl Jung defines synchronicity as the experience of meaningful coincidences, events in the outer world that align with our inner psychological state in a way that feels deeply significant yet lacks a direct causal link. These are the moments when the universe seems to rhyme, when an unexpected encounter, a chance remark, or a series of improbable events converge to bring someone into our lives, often at precisely the moment we are most ready for them or most in need of what they represent for our growth. This third way often becomes more apparent when we are actively engaged in our own journey of individuation, when we have done the courageous inner work of facing our shadow and beginning to integrate our anima or animus. As we become more aligned with our authentic self and start walking a path truer to our own unique purpose, it's as if we become more attuned to a deeper energetic frequency. In this state of greater inner coherence, synchronicities can serve as a form of guidance, bringing people into our orbit who resonate with this evolving self or who are essential for our next stage of development. You might be passionately pursuing a new creative endeavor and, by chance, meet someone who becomes a vital collaborator or mentor. Or perhaps, after a period of intense inner work leading to a significant personal shift, you unexpectedly cross paths with an individual who mirrors your newfound understanding and with whom you feel an immediate, effortless soul-level recognition. We often don't realize these are divinely orchestrated introductions at the time because they can feel so natural, so serendipitous. There's no overt announcement, just a quiet sense of rightness, a flow, as if an invisible hand is gently arranging the pieces on the chessboard of our lives. The soulmate introduced through synchronicity isn't always a romantic partner in the conventional sense. It can be anyone who arrives at a pivotal moment to catalyze our growth, share our path, or help us fulfill a deeper purpose. These encounters remind us that when we commit to our own wholeness, the universe, or the deep wisdom of the self, often conspires in beautiful and unexpected ways to bring us the connections our soul truly needs to flourish. The unseen weaver, the profound wisdom of the self, may indeed introduce us to pivotal soul connections through the mirrors of our shadow, the allure of our anima or animus, and the subtle language of synchronicity. Yet, these sacred introductions often occur without us realizing, slipping past the radar of our busy, outward-focused ego. So, how do we cultivate the inner eyes and ears to recognize these subtle yet potent invitations from our soul? How do we become more attuned to this profound guidance? The art of recognition begins with consciously cultivating inner receptivity. In a world that constantly demands our external attention, we must intentionally create spaces of quietude and introspection where the soul's softer voice can be heard. Carl Jung placed immense value on paying attention to our dreams. He saw them not as random psychic debris, but as direct communications from the unconscious, often filled with symbolic guidance about our inner state, our relationships, and the path of our individuation. Learning to recall, record, and reflect upon our dreams can open a vital channel to the self's wisdom. Equally important is learning to honor our intuition and deepest feelings. That inexplicable pull towards someone, that gut feeling that a particular encounter is significant, or even a persistent sense of rightness or wrongness about a connection, these are often the subtle cues through which the unseen weaver communicates. This requires a trust in our inner knowing, a willingness to listen beyond the chatter of pure logic or societal expectation. Engaging in practices like journaling can be immensely helpful, creating a sacred space to track these intuitive hits, to explore the emotional resonances of encounters, to note synchronicities, and to dialogue with the figures and feelings that emerge from our depths. This is akin to a simplified form of Jung's active imagination, allowing us to consciously engage with the unconscious. Complementing this, the Stoic practice of prosoche, or mindful attention, trains us to be more present to both our inner landscape and the subtle cues of the outer world. By observing our thoughts, feelings, and reactions without immediate judgment, we become more discerning, better able to distinguish the ego's anxieties from the soul's deeper guidance. Ultimately, the more self-knowledge we cultivate, understanding our own shadow, our anima-animus patterns, our complexes, the clearer our inner vision becomes. We are less likely to be ensnared by mere projection and more able to recognize an authentic soul connection when it arrives, guided by a wisdom that has been patiently waiting for us to simply notice. We embarked on this journey with a deep human yearning, the longing for a connection so profound it feels divinely orchestrated, the whisper of a soulmate encounter. We ventured beyond conventional notions, exploring how a guiding intelligence, be it Carl Jung's self, the Stoic logos, or that unseen weaver within and around us, might indeed introduce us to these pivotal relationships, often without our conscious ego ever realizing the sacred appointment is being made. We've uncovered 3 profound pathways through which these introductions occur. The challenging mirror of our shadow projections, forcing us towards greater self-acceptance. The magnetic pull of our anima or animus, calling us to integrate our own inner wholeness. And the mysterious, timely arrival of connections through the meaningful coincidences of synchronicity, especially when we are aligned with our deepest purpose. We also recognize that perceiving these subtle orchestrations requires us to cultivate a profound inner receptivity, a willingness to listen to dreams, honor intuition, and engage with our inner world with courage and openness. What then is the ultimate nature of these soulmate encounters, introduced by a wisdom beyond our immediate ken? They are rarely the effortless fairy tales of popular imagination. More often, they are profound catalysts for our individuation. They are the relationships that challenge us, that mirror us, that break us open, and that ultimately help us grow into more of who we are truly meant to be. They may bring great joy, yes, but also significant inner work. The unseen weaver doesn't just hand us a perfect counterpart. It introduces us to the very people who will best serve our soul's evolution, often precisely because they bring our unhealed wounds or unintegrated aspects to the surface. Trusting this process then is paramount. Trusting that even in confusion or challenge, a deeper wisdom is at play. By committing to our own inner work, by cultivating awareness, and by remaining open to the often unconventional ways life brings significant souls across our path, we participate more consciously in this sacred weaving. These aren't just chance encounters, they are soul appointments, orchestrated by a love far vaster than we know, all designed to guide us home to ourselves, and perhaps to each other in the most authentic and growth-filled ways.